So after a few months of reviewing a number of Netflix originals, E4 Bilge and Channel 5 Tripe, it's about time I try an Amazon Prime original. It's been quite hard to avoid this show. Adverts have been splashed around all over the place. One will be forgiven for thinking that this is the only Amazon Prime original. I certainly can't name any more right now, and if there are others, they obviously can't be summarised quite as easily as this one. So obviously there's a lot riding on this show, as it seems to represent the service as a whole. Anyway, better stop tax avoiding the issue and get on with the review. The Man in the High Castle, What If Nazis Won World War II? You play as B.J. Blazkowicz, an American agent fighting with the resistance to bring down the Nazis in an alternative universe. Ha ha, I'm so funny. Actually, this is very different to Wolfenstein, especially in the tone. Where that went for daft fun, running with the idea that no one feels squeamish shooting Nazis, The Man in the High Castle Wolfenstein goes for a very dark and uncomfortable tone, as is perfectly encapsulated by the intro, which didn't exactly tug on my heartstrings because I'm not the sort of person who gets off over heavy-handed American patriotism, what with my functioning sense of proportion. Thanks to that proportion, I'm well aware of how evil the Nazis are. The first time I heard Sieg Heil in front of a swastika, I got a massive gut reaction of surprise and disgust, and immediately started to wonder if I should actually be watching this, like watching a close relative's bukkake scene. Speaking of which, despite all the Nazi talk, this actually portrays a world in which the Axis won World War II. So the Japanese Imperials occupy the entire western side of America, while the Nazis have the east, and the two sides seem to exist in some kind of delicate harmony. But enough about the setting. What's the show like? It's actually alright. Good acting, interesting concept and story, and while no performance is quite Christoph Waltz level, there are some that give it a good go. But like a country run by two opposing factions who can never really coexist, there are problems. Some small ones, like the huge levels of expository dialogue in which the characters will tell brief stories that sound more interesting than what they're doing, baffling story and occasional points in the narrative where you won't actually know where they are. Plus, although I felt horrified and uncomfortable at times because Nazi is shorthand for unpleasant, there are other times in which you feel the story wants you to empathise with the characters, which, since I never did, took me out of the story. I did, however, have quite a problem with the ending, so spoiler alert for those of you who decided to watch this review purely because they love the sound of my voice, and why wouldn't you? The final shot shows a Japanese official about to commit seppuku, open his eyes and find himself in the real world, at which point the entire series ends on a shot of some adverts. Some people have taken this to mean that the whole thing was a dream, but I don't think it was. I think it proves that the whole thing's just capitalist propaganda, created to remind us that we should be grateful for easy access to affordable tat, apart from, grateful that there aren't any Nazis. Still, at least Amazon didn't give the whole game away and end on a screen that says, hey, buy some shit while you're here. It really ruined what was actually quite an interesting and truly harrowing program. But if you're willing to overlook that, then I guess this is worth your time. Wow, I made it through a whole review without a single mention of Donald Trump. Shit.